11Tenths Racecraft.
All right, welcome back. It is episode 3 of season 2. We are on to our COVID beards. Just kidding, I always had a beard. But anyway, other than facial hair, we're here to talk about PRI. We talked about it last season as well, but this was the first year I got to join in, and it was Kid in a Candy Store. We've done the trade show discussion before, but I wanted to bring my thoughts on it and kind of chime in with Randy. And of course, there's new stuff, new product, there's some new builds, all sorts of neat things, and they probably should have put a leash on me because I think I ran away from them at least 20 or 25 times to look at stuff.
We should have grabbed the helium balloon with a string.
Would have worked.
Yeah, we turned around. Where's Dave?
Yeah, he's looking at another thing. So I think I got a good, for you guys, I think we got a pretty good summary of the show. But let's dive right into it. Right off the bat, every time we go near the border, it's a drive. It's a hike from the shop. It's a hike from where we are taping today. So we stop.
Like for years, we would be going to the Detroit Auto Show in January. It was kind of like a guy's weekend type thing. So we would continuously stop at this breakfast place in Windsor before we hop across the border. Now, back in the day when the Cobo Center and we'd have the auto show there, we would actually park in Windsor, take the bus under the tunnel, and the bus would drop you off in the U.S. across on the Cobo Center. So you have to deal with the U.S. parking and stuff. So it was kind of tradition that we just grab some breakfast in Windsor. We go to a place called Paul's Kitchen. Food's fantastic. It's really good there. There's generally a lineup. You got to wait about half hour to get a seat. It's a really small diner.
But it's awesome. Like good food, obviously. We'll put the pictures up right away. So good eggs, big meal portions. My favorite thing is I love a good Benedict or it's on top of pineapple. Anyway, we're not a food show, but if you're salivating, Paul's Kitchen in Windsor is the place to go. Obviously, you got to start with a healthy breakfast because going across the border is not as easy as taking a bus anymore.
No.
When we get to the border, obviously, first thing we got to do, there's COVID procedures.
Yeah,
right.
We got to get our PCR test, they call it, right?
Yeah, and PCR test, the rapid tests weren't working anymore. And I mean, first time I put a Q-tip up my nose that damn far. But I have to comment on the fact that it was a drive-through.
Yeah.
And I was expecting like a Burger King, McDonald's. We drive around. Here's one window. You take the test. Here's another window. Put the test in.
It's like, no, we get out. We go into a pharmacy. Yeah. They hand you the test. And we're like, do we do it here? He's like, no, it's a drive-through. You got to go back in the car and do it.
That's what qualifies it as a drive-through.
Yeah. We're like, okay. We walk outside. We could have done it at the sidewalk outside, but
it's true.
Yeah. So the drive-through is, you basically they don't want you doing it inside the facility there. Just do it outside on the street and then bring it back in.
24 hours later.
Yeah, we got a PDF email.
And we boom right away. Anyway, so that was the first thing. Crossing the border, we stopped in Detroit, did that, and then carried on to good old Indianapolis.
Which is where PRI stands for Performance Race Industry. It's like a body that it's kind of like SEMA is, right? But more for race-oriented stuff. SEMA is anything aftermarket, including race. But SEMA, everything from vinyl wraps to LED lights to like big truck tires and camping equipment to go on overland vehicles. So that's SEMA. PRI is all sequential gearboxes and nitrous oxide and all the machinery to build all the fabrication stuff. It's really geared more for what the 11Tenths it's more of the show that's really right up our alley, right, for 11Tenths.
So let's qualify. Part of the thing that I wanted to talk about with going across the border is we had a limit of 72 hours to basically leave Canada, come back home, and make sure that we're back to work on Monday. So we spent every minute doing something, and that means as soon as we arrived in Indianapolis, we went to our Airbnb, put our stuff down.
Yeah, unpacked, and we went straight to the festivities, which happened to be America Guns. We went to the gun range, right?
I mean, all guns matter, or what was it? What was the one badge in there? Black guns matter. There's some brave patchwork that you can buy, but it's what never fails for me is it's like there's always a date night. Every time we've gone, there's a couple, and they're shooting. I don't. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
guns in the U.S. are something that we're just not, used to in Canada. And they even had like clothing there, and they had like the yoga pants for the women with the little pocket to conceal a weapon in the yoga pants. It's it's next level. And the thing too is like when we go there, Some of us were kind of green in the shooting. Like I've shot
I'm very green. Now I'm going to
Yeah.
put that right out there.
So the guy, renting the gun, he just hands you the gun and says, "On your way, go ahead." And we're, some of us are like looking at this automatic weapon, and we're just like, what's the safety? This thing is like, So we're in the gun range trying to figure this gun out because we didn't want to ask the guy how to operate it.
Well, and they're not always in great
it,
shape either. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, it depends. Like some of them are the sequence. You put the mag in, and usually just cock it, and it goes. But this one, it was if you did that, it would jam up. So you had to actually work at a. Anyways,
here's a guy who's got tons of experience.
Yeah.
Okay, for someone who's completely new, and I wouldn't even say I'm completely new. I've shot a bunch of guns. My dad's a hunter, was a hunter.
Yeah.
But hit trigger, bullet should fire.
Yeah.
When that doesn't happen, brown comes out. I don't know why. That's just my feeling. I feel like it's going to be one of those YouTube veils where it just like boom, it ignites in the chamber, which I know doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But that's my anyway.
Yeah.
So
it was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
None of the sights were on.
No. Yeah, we were. We weren't. We're lucky to hit the paper target.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of. I mean, it sucked because you're hoping to get a nice grouping. And the grouping's nice, but it's like, 7 inches off the bullseye.
You're shooting the kidney.
We're like, so this thing's either been dropped or whatever. The sights are off.
Anyway, it's still fun because I mean, how many times in the previous year did you shoot a gun in Canada?
Yeah. Or you can go through ammo really quickly too.
Yeah, true.
So I mean, some of these guns they shoot really fast. So you go through a $30 box of bullets in like seconds.
Yeah.
We've gone to the range sometimes and come out and the bill's over $1,000.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you got to be careful.
Between a couple of people. Let me preface that.
Yeah,
but still.
like a few people, right? But just keep that in mind. Be cognizant of how much the ammo costs because you can go through that really fast.
Well, it's like anything else. You go karting or whatever. Everything it seems like a short amount of time for a lot of fun, and it's expensive. It can be.
That's why I prefer revolvers. I'll get a six shooter, like a 357, and it takes time to load all 6 bullets, and you get a huge kick, and that's my choice. When I go to a range, I usually get one of those.
Yeah. So after that, obviously, this was what was it? Friday night.
Yeah. Friday night,
we made a huge mistake. I'm going to call that one. We did not really reserve any dinner, and we wanted to have a nice dinner.
Yeah.
Well, everything was full. Let's start by saying that.
Yeah, we were driving around for a while, calling people, calling restaurants.
Well, and the main part is it's normal. Indianapolis was very normal at that point. This was early December.
Yeah.
And it was normal down there. So
normal as in no one's wearing masks.
No one's wearing masks. Yeah. And not only that, like it's not like half capacities.
Yeah.
It's literally just a normal restaurant on a packed Friday night. Everyone's like, I want to go out. So we had a hard time, and eventually we ended up randomly by my choice because I wanted some seafood at an oyster bar, which was awesome.
It was good food.
Our buddy.
It was pretty loud in there.
It was loud. It was a happening place, right? Like you got a picture. There's a guy shucking oysters behind the bar. Speaking of which.
That was his job.
Was that? Yeah, that was literally all he did all night. He's just sitting there shucking oysters with his, Bluetooth earbuds in, and he's just right. Yeah. That's his job. But it was a nice place. And you've had oysters before, or was that your first time too? No, you've had them before.
Yeah, I've had them before.
Our buddy, first time, and I think everyone has the same reaction if they don't like oysters. Is it just feels like I sucked back some snot. So literally, that's what he said.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, good food. You can't go wrong with that. Good time. Obviously, from there on, we went and got ready for the next day.
Got up early. Head downtown. It's nice and quiet. I'll say that. It was dead. It was actually like a ghost town.
Yeah, it's like Toronto early in the morning. Same idea. We barely see anyone on the weekend early in the morning. Everyone's sleeping in. Beautiful city. In terms of the architecture.
It was crazy warm. This year,
too. Oh yeah.
It was 17 degrees Celsius. That's like spring weather, We left our jackets in the car. We just t-shirts walked to the front.
Which every other time it's basically.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like sub-zero.
It's like Canada. It's cold. It's snow.
Yeah.
So we stop. We get some breakfast.
Yep.
That's a must, obviously, get rolling because we're gonna get our steps in. Just like every other car show.
7 hours walking around, right? And you don't want to stop and have a hot dog there.
I had the worst tasting pretzel of my life. I'll admit that now. I didn't admit it at the time. But like, it's a long day, and we're trying to cover off as much as possible. So we get into the show. I mean, it's like any other convention center, right? Big old building. Right away, as soon as you come in, you've got people got labels on the floor. People have stands outside in the hallway. A couple of exhibits. There was our Indy. We're obviously in Indianapolis.
Yeah, let me start by saying, like, we're at the show, and you know, we were pretty much the only people in the whole show wearing masks. You could tell the Canadians, right? Because the Canadians were walking around with the masks, and everyone else had no masks. So
it's true.
It was pretty funny. But you know what, we just wanted to be safe because we're coming back to our families, and we got to go back to work, and we just wanted to be, you know, so.
I will say, so there's a level of professionalism. It was tough.
It was a joint decision because we walked in there and one of us had a mask on, the others didn't before we entered the show as we're going through the lobby, and we stopped and we're like, look, you know, we're going to spend 8 hours in the car together. It's either we all wear it or we all don't. So we all decided to wear it, right? And so.
And it's funny though because it was its own subculture because we could see the other Canadians. I remember we went down. What was it? We went down one row. And boom, there was a Canadian school at the end of that row had an exhibit.
That's right.
And we're like, oh, they're Canadian. They're wearing masks.
Yeah, they're wearing masks. We're wearing masks. So we're joking around about that too.
Which was they gave us extra goodies for the bags of goodies that you get, but that was nice. But anyway, the other side of things is I remember at one point we were talking to a clutch. I think it was a clutch manufacturer, and gave us a little bit of side eye because it's like, well, you know, you guys. So it's both, right? People want to be safe. I'm sure there were other people that were local too that wore it. It ranged, but it was definitely different than here and right now, right?
Yeah, it's a different world.
So, speaking of a different world, let's get through the hallway. Let's dive straight in. Boom, exhibits everywhere, right? Right off the bat, you've got like a drag bike. There's a ton of superchargers. I think it was a Procharger right off the bat. Beautiful, giant things. Shove a fist in, huge. Superchargers, period. And like everything was beautiful to the point of it looked like jewelry. These are all parts that are obviously machined nicely, and that in and of itself, you want to know how these things are made. And then of course off to the side, they've got a couple of cool builds. So, I mean, what's better than a V8 with
billet everything? Yeah, billet manifold, billet billet block. That's what they. You know, when you race and you know you just want to spend once on a motor and you spend the $50,000 on a billet long block, right?
Even more. And the thing is when we say billet, okay, billet is essentially a stronger piece of steel or aluminum, right? Aluminum forged that is then machined away. So it's just stronger in terms of its basic properties.
It starts life as a block and then it's machined out.
Versus a casting, which it has a lot of porous holes potentially, can crack. So when you're building something big pressure, big boost, or it needs to be durable, you're talking billet. That's just the way to go. So, you know, next on we're talking V8s already. So the next thing is you've got all the internal pieces. So, you know, the top of the valve train, push rods, all that stuff. And
all
just
the buckets.
Everything, the tappets, everything. It's just beautifully machined stuff. One thing I will say about the show is it was very sporadic, right? So we went from that to boom, software. There's HP tuners, very well known among a lot of different car brands for their tuning.
And let's add that, you know, you don't really go to PRI to look at cars. So the cars that are there, they're beautiful cars. But generally the booths don't only have a limited amount of space. It's a small show.
It's true.
Right? So, you know, you don't go there and expect to look at SEMA type cars. I mean, SEMA quality cars, yes. But it's not a car show. You know, there's probably maybe like 50 cars in the entire hall as opposed to
about there. Now, and that's the thing. So here on the screen, I'm showing a device. This was basically to check camshafts. So we're talking about a shop that literally has to work with, you know, either their balancing camshafts or their grinding camshafts, that kind of thing. So it does get pretty intricate. And now I know we talk.
So there's a lot of tooling.
There's a lot of tooling. So again, then we dive into another test bed. Everyone showcases their products. So here we've got this beautiful drag car.
Yeah, this is Buster. He's actually
Yeah.
one of the guys on Street Outlaws. You will find a lot of a lot of the guys on the Street Outlaw no prep circuit. They have essentially cars that are running 3,000-4,000 horsepower. They get a lot of TV time.
Yep.
So they are going to be there, and the people themselves are kind of like celebrity status within America. So there's a lot of these guys that are signing autographs, and you can talk to them and stuff. So there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of like heavy hitters in that. If you're into that scene, of course, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's other stuff too, but prevalently, like the prevalence was drag racing. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Unless you are a tractor person, because this random tractor, which was at SEMA, but we took a little bit of a closer look and found out it's not running.
Yeah, it doesn't run.
It doesn't run yet.
It's just a mock-up.
But they're planning.
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, right? Cool. Like you can see the details here.
I would change the exhaust tips on it, but that's just
no way. It's out the top, maybe a little bit longer, just so it's not in your face.
I just don't like a rolled exhaust tip off the top. I would have like some, like some.
I thought you meant that was at eye level. So the very second they start driving that thing.
No, it just looks like you threw on a tip from
Yeah, MBRP or something, man, or like Canadian Tire.
Yeah, Canadian Tire.
Just off the shelf.
A reactive tip. That's what it looked like. So, anyways.
So, next, gauges. Just randomly. Literally a wall of gauges. And I didn't realize Autometer covered off so many different brands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you see there's Stack, Autometer, then they've got a lot of the vintage stuff. And I mean, just, again, a different type of jewelry. This is just a jewelry show for anyone who enjoys this kind of stuff. So you can see, like, the world is your oyster in terms of these gauges. It's nice to see them working. Being on a website versus actually seeing these gauge, going through their ticks, their talks, and then they show the new stuff. So they show how they've got integrations for LCD screens. And some of it isn't new, but all the digital stuff that they've got going on. So obviously Autometer, huge booth, one of the bigger ones there.
Yeah. And then some more jewelry.
But this was awesome.
So, internals, engines. Yeah.
Well, these guys this was all aluminum. And let's put it this way. None of these are actually aluminum within a motor, but they actually made all these parts out of aluminum so that you could easily see, okay, these are all the different ones they make. And they've got like Harley Davidson, Citroen.
Yeah, it was interesting watching the shape of the dome on these, right? You got the diesel ones and
exactly. Well, this
the old stuff.
Well, there's one gentleman in particular from Arius, or very, very proud of what they do, because he's like, we are doing stuff for blower Bentleys and stuff like that, and some of them, like, you can see how big the capacity or how small the capacity of the cylinder is. It really is some neat stuff, and you wouldn't think there'd be that much variation, but there really is just so many different types of pistons and motors, and everyone's got a solution for valve clearance or not, or compression, and just a ton of options there. There must be someone out there who says, hey, I need to fix my Packard. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure they're making a set of pistons for the guy, and then they're going to have one or two that goes in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Does a show circuit.
But once they've done it, they know how to do it again, right? It's repetitive.
Yep.
So a little bit of so another view of the show. You see a little bit of Holly there and stuff like that, and then we get into some transmission stuff. Yeah. So on my end of things, this was we do gears. We have a family business.
Dave's a gearhead.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And this isn't necessarily what we get into, but we can make this stuff, and it was neat to see how many different transmission manufacturers there. So that was, transmissions and flywheels and all that stuff. So next we see more carbon. There was carbon all over the show. That was an intake that led us to this gorgeous Ferrari drift machine.
Drift car.
And if you're gonna make a drift car and make it interesting, you just freaking throw a ball of nitrous between the seats.
Yeah.
It was mental, right? I would love to have heard that thing run and drift. One thing that was interesting, that particular thing, it's a 599. It had like the buttress rear quarter. Yeah. They actually use that.
F12 here.
F12, thank you. Yeah. They used that buttress to kind of funnel air towards the rear diff, which was neat. I mean, if you're gonna
rear diff cooling.
Yeah, if you're gonna do the aerodynamics, at least that's kind of, I guess, what it's kind of serious. It's nice to see not just some hack job kind of aerodynamics. So some neat stuff there. Yeah. So actually, probably a little bit more common is Vortex superchargers. You see them a little bit more common on kits and stuff.
They're one of the primary, one of the first ones out.
Yeah.
It was Vortec, and then Paxton, and Vortec eventually bought Paxton out. Yeah. And so Vortec, one of the big guys there as well. There's we're wearing masks, of course.
So this was a neat little stand that we came upon. So these guys had special composite materials and stuff like that, and we're looking at basically tappets and stuff like that that would be steel, titanium, aluminum,
solid carbon.
Solid carbon. So super light. Now they're claiming super strong. One thing that was crazy in this is they had it's a link pin or wrist pin? Wrist pin. Wrist pin that basically connects your rod and your piston together. And this thing was so light. It was the difference between picking up, let's say
it's like picking up a Rice Krispie square.
Yeah, versus picking up your phone.
Yeah.
Right? So if a regular wrist pin is the weight of your phone and this one is a Rice Krispie square, like how on earth does this, sustain that kind of force of like a, pick your torque, right?
The connecting rod,
It's crazy. Carbon connecting rod. And a lot of this stuff is not applied yet. Like they're working on this stuff. So for example, that wrist pin has to have a chrome or special material on the outside. So they're obviously talking about that, and it's proprietary. So, but they're working on cool stuff, and it's neat to see that. I think that's a stand that didn't get enough attention because people are just like, well, it's hypothetical. Let's talk about the real stuff. So, speaking of which, a great scenario here, like the Canadians wearing masks, but we're talking about parts for BMWs.
Yeah, Fidanza. Got some nice flywheels, and their flywheels allow you to actually change the friction disc. The friction surface where.
On the flywheel.
Mates, so you can take it apart and just put a new one on there, which is kind of nice. It's a nice option. So we carry Fidanza.
There you go.
Yeah. Not only do the V8s, rain the hull, but there is 4 pistons was there with their billet K series Honda motors, which is pretty nice as well.
They're really nice.
Yeah. So if you're into the JDM scene, like this is something you might want to consider.
Again, billet, stronger, the nicest parts.
They can probably handle over 1,000 horse. This one was naturally aspirated, but just to show you.
It's crazy that that those 4-bangers can get that kind of power, sustain. Like basically, they're just as strong, right? So motors everywhere, and if you can think of off the ends of the motors, your pulleys and everything, everything's beautiful. Covers.
Everything done.
Everything
machine, custom machine.
Best way of putting it, just custom machine.
Yeah.
None of this out of the mold stuff. Wheels. This booth there wasn't a ton of, like BBS had a booth too, but this booth was
just a handful of wheel manufacturers there.
This one was beautiful though. Every type of wheel you could imagine, carbon barrels and stuff like that.
Line. Really nice stuff.
Now, interestingly enough, we asked, hey, what are your thoughts based on your experience, what our thoughts are of the carbon barrels, and they seem very confident in terms of running them on the street. Which, I mean, time will tell for that stuff, but I'd be really fearful. Like, they're strong, but once you get a crack or anything in the carbon, we'll see where that goes. And then we see like the process, like your standard aluminum rim. There's what we're talking about in terms of a forging, and then it's machine, and then you see your final.
Starts out as a blank, and then it goes towards through the machining process.
So if you didn't know, that's how it goes. So another thing, castings. So this was a neat little thing I stumbled upon where they're casting. That was a Tesla wheel or a yoke, as they call it. It's a big old yoke.
Look out, my brakes don't work.
But neat to see that, right? All sorts of stuff. You wouldn't think, hey, this is the back end. You never see it's covered in leather, it's covered in plastic. Right? That's just someone's got to make the basis for it. Now, booth we spent some time at. Haltech
was there. We just wrapped up a 2JZ build running a Haltech, so we were there talking to them about the new products that's coming out with Haltech. It was interesting. It was pretty good. They have a lot of really nice things. The PDMs are really coming on strong. So the PDM is the way to go now, right? And so you can get them integrated with the ECU, and just makes the wiring a lot cleaner on the cars.
PDM, power distribution module.
It's basically like a fuse box. It's a glorified fuse box. So you run all the wiring into a PDM, and then you're able to actually, on the computer, kind of allocate where you want certain the channels to go.
Well, you control everything from like your sensors to your computer to. I know they're working on traction control even on some of these and stuff like that, right? So it's really, really neat to see the integration. And they were extremely proud of their throttle or wire. What is it?
Fly-by-wire.
Thank you. Which basically electronic throttle and how fast it responded. And it was definitely fast. So it's really neat to see because it just means you could almost throw, if you had the money, throw your entire harness out and just boom, there you go. Which it would be the way to go, right? So
more machinery, some CMM
measuring equipment, right?
Yeah.
So there they were measuring gears, so that was kind of
measuring machine, right?
Yeah.
CMM.
And so at that point they were just kind of showing, hey, if you're making a production of 3 parts, here's how you can easily check them with this robot that fits on a disc, or sorry, not on a disc, on a table. And yeah, very neat, right? Like a small little booth there. So right next to that, so that was a gearing person. Next to that was a transmission person. They make gears. This was just wild. Sequential transmission.
Sequential, yeah. There's actually quite a few manufacturers out there doing sequential gearboxes.
Well, these guys were nice because they were very proud to the point of, hey, row a couple gears here.
Yeah.
Versus some of them were like, hey, look at our stuff.
Yeah. They had a working, mock-up
full
there.
working mock-up there, like running. And then they show like all different ways that you can do it. Like there's some really interesting linkages and stuff like that. But again, impressive. Like there's nothing, you can't compare a sequential shift in terms of how fast it shifts versus, your regular transmission. Again, another transmission. So these guys were a little bit more drag oriented, just standard transmissions.
Yep.
Just beautiful stuff. Now I will say these are not ground gears. These are REM finished, so basically a polish. That's why they look pretty, but it works. These are beautifully meshed gears. Like even the bearings, like you spin it and it just keeps rolling, and that's a sign of a good part, right? You can see it just continually rolling on.
Gridlife was there.
Gridlife was there, yeah. Neat to see a car show track event there. I was not expecting that, to be honest with you. That would seem like a SEMA kind of thing or another car show kind of thing. So they had their simulator set up, and obviously they were kind of promoting the event and.
Yeah, that's one event we look forward to going.
Yeah, 100%. So. That's on the list of things to do.
Yeah.
Here we see some helmets, right? That's another one. Just
some colored carbon ones and
all sorts of different stuff. And I mean, different manufacturers. They had certain F1 drivers or famous racers or famous helmets. It was kind of neat to see that stuff and go through and to kind of and holding it. Seeing the difference between holding a lightweight helmet versus a regular helmet.
Yeah, you can notice the difference right there.
Well, yeah. Well, let's put it this way.
Very hands-on.
I know that we can walk into 11Tenths. You can order a $4,000 helmet if you want, but you don't stack one on the shelf.
Yeah.
Right? It's a special order item. So to be able to go there and say, "Holy smokes, this is another Rice Krispie square." Right. So we dive into BBS. Again, another booth, and they're linked with KW suspension. So nice and open. Everyone knows the brand. Nothing really that new or exciting. They do what they do, and they do it well.
Yeah, they've been running some of the designs for years and years and years, right? So why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. The brake manufacturers are there. Stop Tech, EBC was there.
Yeah. Right.
Just showcasing
stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Some of them are just showcases. There's nothing necessarily new. And here we see a couple more cars. In the back of the one room, there was more room for more cars. A lot of muscle. I'd say predominantly muscle.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Like it's drag based and whatnot. Like there's some wild stuff, insane horsepower, and beautiful. Yeah. What kills me is the difference between seeing a drag car that's just got a fiberglass body or one that's got like candy paint and whatnot. And now you were a fan of what's her face?
Lizzie Musey.
Yeah.
Well,
she's all right.
She's fast.
She's fast. You know what I like? I appreciate the fact that here's her car, and there's still rubber on the back quarter panel.
Yeah.
I appreciate a bit of that, a little bit of just polish it off, and there you go. So I saw the new Corvette. This guy was pushing it around.
Is that the new Corvette?
No, sorry, it was
turbo?
It was next to the guy pushing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so twin turbo.
Talking about the garbage can.
Yes,
my God.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the Vet. It's awesome, but this was a twin turbocharged one.
Yeah, I think this is the fastest one to date right now. I think.
Insanity.
Yeah.
It's just pure insanity. There's no other way of putting it.
Yeah. It's got a built motor, twin turbos.
Yeah.
I can't remember the times. We'll post them up. I think it's probably doing 8s or something in the quarter.
Which is just awesome, right? Yeah. And it looked completely stock on the outside other than the drag wheels. I wonder how they heat manage those turbos behind anyway. This was a neat thing. Okay, so another gauge booth.
Yeah.
Obviously it was before the holidays, so they had a gauge tree.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty random, but in the spirit of the holidays.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, see
this is when you wandered off.
100%. Just looking at random stuff. So, again, other things too. They had circle track cars, NASCARs.
Quite a few of those.
Yeah. Well, you guys handle cool shirts and stuff like that. So basically, all the options for cooling yourself down outside of actually having AC in the car. But in their booth, which was neat, was a V8 swapped Miata, which I thought was kind of neat. It was pretty well done. Not perfect, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where small car, big engine, the usual type of stuff. And if you're going to see heat, it's probably going to be out of that thing.
Yeah. Tight package.
Okay, so this thing, the Gucci.
Oh, yeah.
So much carbon.
This is probably my favorite car in the show.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it was done so well.
Like, all the metal parts were candy red.
Yeah,
like,
it was beautiful.
The frame, and everything that could have been made from carbon. And it was just cleanly done, and gloss.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if that thing even made a pass down the road. I mean, I don't know if it's like...
It looks like it could. Like, look at the way they integrate even that intake to the turbo around the...
around the roll cage or the structure. In the front.
It's impressive, but yeah, you know what? It did look very, very clean, and the tires weren't even used.
Yeah.
But hey, even has a showpiece. If you're gonna show a build that's literally to the nines, that one takes the cake for the show. That must have been the most expensive car in the show.
Yeah, I think it was a Nova, right? Nova.
Yeah. No, was it a Camaro? Anyway,
I don't know. It was one of the two.
It was American.
Yeah. Cleetus. That's Cleetus's car.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah. So again, giant turbos. It's the Freedom manifold.
Yeah.
how many miles per Freedom can you get? And, yeah. Anyway, beautiful. Unassuming on the outside. Obviously, it's all about what's on the inside for that one. So more turbochargers and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
it was a crazy Hummer.
Yeah, if you're gonna show something off, let's just turbocharge a Hummer, because why not?
Yeah.
Like, again, just well done, beautiful stuff. Obviously, someone took the time to make a lot of intricate piping into this darn thing. Sand tires and just, I can't even I can't understand why.
No, it was. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, to put that kind of power, and then it still had the portal axles and the inboard brakes.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Right?
Again, a very clean Hummer. So who knows if that actually also did a pass? That's actually.
Well, they had a video of it actually running around in the
Okay.
dunes and stuff. So I think it was a pretty crazy Duramax. See the video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. In the background, it is running around. So, impressive. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, it just random.
Yeah.
So there was a beautiful RX-7.
It was a triple rotor, four rotor, right?
It was a four rotor.
Yeah.
Just nicely done.
FD,
this was a NASA car. So this was someone who does. It's not time attack or anything like this. It's someone who actually does like a GT class.
Yeah, it's racing.
But that was a racer from the series. The series was represented in that booth, right? Trying to get people to come out. So a lot of Broncos. There were 3 or 4 Broncos just in the one booth. Obviously, there's a whole new aftermarket coming for that.
Yeah.
We talked about that for SEMA. There's obviously a ton of Broncos out there. But it's neat to see. I actually like it more than a Jeep. I mean, it's not necessarily our thing. Next, a Gasser. Gassers are just random, and when you see a car that looks like that, that's a Gasser style. We're not going to talk about that anymore, because here we have this insane Pikes Peak truck.
Yeah.
Just random. This thing was, I forgot what its time was, but it was bloody fast. And it looked, the usual, it's got all the patina and barely anything to it, but it was light, and there were holes everywhere. Swiss cheese, make this thing as light as possible.
Yeah.
Mid-mounted motor in the back, and turbocharged to the end of its life.
Yeah, huge downforce.
Huge downforce.
Yeah.
A really cool thing, right? And across the way from that, you've got a Ferrari.
Yeah, same thing. It was basically patinaed right off the. Looked like it came right off the track. Just finished a race.
Yeah, and
the GT.
And that's perfect. That's what you want to see is some realism. That's not a wrap. That's not someone. Hey, look, I look like I drive my car. No, that was literally a race car.
Yeah.
Someone used it, and I bet you probably couldn't even get that rubber off there. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So. After that, just let's get into the Euro scene. This was random to me, all right? So we're looking at Royal Purple booth, and here's this 3 Series wagon, and you're like, okay, well, you guys swapped an S54 and a 3 Series wagon. I wonder what motor's going to be in this one.
Yeah.
Freaking Mercedes diesel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was like a 190 diesel motor in there.
Well, yeah, and now it wasn't finished. They were still working on it, but 190 diesel motor.
Yeah, and an E46 touring. So we're Sabelt Canada, and Sabelt America was there, showcasing a lot of the new seats and some of the new products and the designs of the clothing that's coming out for 2022. And
they had some really cool stuff. Obviously, we spent a lot of time wanting to see what's going on, get the new product brochures and stuff like that. But one thing they were very proud of is all of the different options. So they had. I remember they were saying the story. They were working with Hyundai Racing for it was their stuff, and they developed a color scheme for that team, which is not new. They do that for everyone. That was one of the more recent ones. And they're like pushing to the fact that your average person, you out there or someone like us, same idea. You want to have this special shoe or this special suit, it's a lot more accessible. And people don't really think, hey, you know, I could do this, or where do I go for this? So they had some crazy suits that were literally just to show the extent of what they could do custom-wise.
Yeah, and the custom program doesn't cost that much more than their run-of-the-mill, top-of-the-line suit. So, you know, something you want to really consider. If you're going to buy it like a good, nice, thin three-layer protective suit, just go a little bit more and get something completely custom that fits you better, and you can have your own design.
And it's yours. Right? It's you, or if you've got a team that you're working on, same idea, right?
Exactly.
So you may have seen in previous episodes, there was the 11Tenths
we have our own
suits, right?
We have our own suits as well.
So it's neat to see what can be done. There was another manufacturer I saw that did a cowboy suit as well, just to be random. I think that one was just for show, but Sabelt obviously, you know, you make it for teams, you make it for individuals, right? So a different type of jewelry now we head on to is coolers. I mean, these were random. Some of the shapes, like part of it is that OEMs, manufacturers need these random shapes. Oh, I got to fit this into this curve of the body, or it goes behind this part. I need it to cool something. So
to have a heat exchanger, you know, on a radius is pretty impressive stuff.
Really neat stuff. So.
And then a couple of the Street Outlaw guys again. We had Eric Bain there and Scott Taylor's car. Dean Stinky Pinky was in the back there signing autographs, and just a bunch of these guys. I'm not sure if you guys follow this Street Outlaws guys, the show, the No Prep Kings, but these cars are just bananas. They're 4,000 horsepower. You know,
they're a quarter mile or eighth mile, I forgot.
Eighth mile.
But
they're still doing 200 miles an hour on the eighth.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're crazy, doing like high threes.
While we're talking, like we're filming this in it's January 2022, and they're talking about the Canadian Street Outlaws. There's a bracket starting between different Ontario areas, so keep an eye out for that. You heard it here. If you haven't heard about it already, Google it. Now, a Cutlass Supreme, that was a random. I always appreciate a random Cutlass with giant turbos.
A couple big turbos. Everything needs turbos.
Crate motors, LSs, more LSs. The Hoonigan crate motor, that's 1,000 horsepower LS in that car. Essentially, you buy that motor off the shelf, shove it in whatever car you want. They didn't tune it. That car is 1,000 horsepower out of a catalog. I also appreciate that they took the 80s Camaro. I actually really liked that body style. It just never had a good motor, in my opinion. It was during the gas crisis. They had no horsepower. The Camaro, you know, as some people who owned it would have called it. I actually really like that body style. So it was neat to see Hoonigan do that. Then, you know, more American, there was the race C8R Corvette. 06, so that was neat to see. And then
you got this crazy Civic. Was the EG here?
Was it a time attack car or just something random? It was a beautiful build, like well thought out. It was a really nicely done one. A lot of carbon. The exhaust was through the middle of the car. Which was kind of...
they had a huge functional diffuser coming out the back.
Huge flat body, huge diffuser.
Look at the size of that wing in the back.
All downforce, right? They're trying to get the most out of that car, so you can see where the exhaust comes out.
Coming out where the bumper is.
Because
it keeps the bottom flat and makes the diffuser, usable.
Squeeze as much rubber as you can in it. It was a really nice build, and it was Exetti clutch, right? I think was So. There's a center exhaust. It was a very neat thing to see, and you know, the radiator, it obviously built for
one purpose
only, high speed, and a lot of downforce. It's neat to see when you look at cars like that. It's surprising to see how much we get from Formula One and stuff like that, where all these little winglets and vortices generators make their way to other forms of racing. It's the trickle down effect of, hey, you know, buddy in his garage or whatnot. Oh, we're going to make this part. And you see that come along. So there was that Chevy pickup on a pontoon boat.
The farm truck.
That was neat. Random lowered Jeep.
The Hawk. The Hawk Jeeps. They had some really nice stuff. And then
was that random KTM?
The KTM. That's a beautiful. I mean, this car. I don't know what the price is on these. Probably over $100,000.
I didn't even know this thing existed. Do you remember what the name of this thing is? I don't know. Well, we're going to put it on the screen. But the name of this this KTM was wild. It wasn't an Expo, or was it evolution of the Expo? Maybe.
No, it's
a whole new thing.
A whole different thing. Yeah, it's basically they have a different race series for that, or it's not street legal. It's a race car.
Right.
Yeah.
Fully carbon, central seating position, just amazing, right? So. Anyway, more product. Like I said, it's random. You head around the show and it's random. Boom. You have more brakes.
Brake calipers.
Those are, So you can see that brake caliper that we showed from EP Racing was just about taking out as much weight as possible. And then we get into tools.
Yeah.
Random. Okay, these are deburring tools, which I mean, to most of you out there, probably have no idea what it is.
Or porting.
Yeah. Or porting tools too.
Yeah.
It's basically you put it on the end of an air tool and you're grinding away steel, right? So. Are you using that in your garage? Probably not. But I mean, are we using it in the shop? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
And honing tools.
Honing stones, honing. There was actually that neat little bead thing. I've used that before for honing out a bore, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. And this is There's a whole section of the show that really was just more machinery.
Yeah.
Machinery and tools. That's really. I mean.
And the thing is checking it out. It is a trade show, and in the trade you want to see. So there's wheel polishers, there's sandblasting.
These are for deburring. Basically, you throw the parts in there and it gets rid of any sharp edges.
Yeah.
It's more for production shops. Right?
Yeah. Also for polishing, like a lot of rim shops will do that and stuff or certain parts they want to have a nice finish on them. But there you go. Like I dived in at one point and I said, hey, let's take a look at this sandblaster, and there you go. Let's try it out and see what they have. You can put your hands in there and see how it feels. And it's nice to know as a shop, if you're going to be buying these tools, what it's like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point. This is an industry thing. Who cares? Out there, you guys are probably, maybe you're sandblasting your own stuff, but this is the kind of stuff that we look at on our end from 11Tenths and say, we need this, we don't need this, and we want to see the latest stuff. So same thing goes. Their Haas was there. They had a full CNC machine set up making chips. They were literally making parts on the fly. And they're proud of that. They want to show you, hey, we are the best. Haas is very well known in America for their CNC work, and I'm sure
their F1 team.
And their F1 team. But that right there, in terms of the next scene, we talk about these little cars with billet motors and whatnot. That's the type of machine that does it, a Haas CNC machine.
Crazy. There's a crazy old truck there, wide body.
Yeah, it was like a
diesel
old Chevy
CK. I don't know what year.
But it was like super wide. Does this thing probably doesn't even fit in a lane? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was patinaed and everything. It was really cool.
It was neat, something different, right? Even the seats were like a weird poncho material, and it's it had. I think it had a weird motor in it too. Like
I think it was a diesel.
Was it a diesel?
Yeah, it was an old diesel.
But was it? No, but it wasn't Chevy. It was a Dodge motor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, random to have it, just random but cool. Let's put it that way. So then we dive into like the Chevy performance stuff, off the shelf, LSX and LSs, and then they show your accessories, Vortex superchargers and
different heads.
Yeah. See at the top of the motor, you can see all the different heads. They, there was another one there. That you could literally look at the head. They had it on a stand where you could spin the heads around and take a good look at, which is neat. If you're looking at the quality of parts, they want to show you, and you can see, hey, I love the way these guys manufacture it.
Yeah.
They had Lewis Hamilton's F1 car.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, freaking F1 guy. The Drive to Survive.
I'm not the F1 guy. I was sorry.
Yeah, it was Lewis Hamilton's car. I forgot what year it was. I'm sure it's somewhere in the video there, but. Yeah, it's neat to see. Again, if we're going to talk about the pinnacle of stuff, there's manufacturers that are proud to say, hey, we've got parts on this F1 car, right? And it's neat to see. Nothing extra special build-wise, right? It's an F1 car, which is already the outer limit, but neat to see that there for sure. You guys work with VAC Motorsports for BMW parts.
Yeah.
We talked about V8 billet. We talked about 4-cylinder billet. Now we got the 6-cylinder inline billet.
That's good old trusty S54. Yeah. E46 M3 motor.
How could you improve upon it?
Yeah.
Billet.
Billet. If you want to run big boost, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
The S54 is known to not handle a lot of boost well. It's just not designed that way. So you just got to run a full billet block from VAC. It's not going to be cheap, but it'll save you. You could pop a regular motor 3-4 times, and then you've paid for the billet thing once, right? So,
yeah, true enough. True enough. Depending on what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So neat to see. So everyone's obviously covered, right? Some more crazy cars here, so drag cars and stuff like that, and then some NASCARs and stuff. They had. I don't know if I got a picture of it, but they had a circle track car where the whole car was like the car was sitting flat, but the whole car was canted at an angle.
Yeah.
right? I don't know what series that is. That's beyond me. But
I think they're all like that.
Are they all like that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. In that series, yeah.
Yeah, but in that series, all the cars are canted at an angle, but basically it's weight distribution because they're all turning the same direction.
Yeah, they run different size tires left to right as well.
Now I stumbled upon again, there's tons of motors. Here's this oil booth, and this random guy sitting, an older fella, right, sales guy or owner, whatever, and he sees me eyeing up this motor. I'm like, wow, this is again a giant billet motor. He's like, yeah, you can have one for $160,000
Oh,
US.
really?
Is
that how much?
That's how much he asked. And he's like, yeah, this guy will build it for you. It starts at about 3,000 horsepower plus. You'll notice there's 2 turbochargers that then feed into another turbocharger
Really?
or super, like just absolutely
compound boost. Yeah.
Compound boost. But now these are like tractor pull motors. Like when you see absolutely insane torque and stuff like that. And again, here's this guy, he's got this motor in his booth, but he's proud to say that, hey, my oil is the oil that goes into this motor, that this guy builds this motor. So it's neat to see that kind of stuff. And then right around the corner, I came to tell you about this motor, and you're like, hey, yeah, but did you see that V16 or W16 like around the corner? And it's, so that's it. So there was a V16.
Yeah, it was basically 2 V8s put together.
Which was weird too, because like even the manifolds were different directions, right? So it's anyway, just saying you can, I guess. Yeah. Right. Let's link it together. I mean, another
Mazda
with an LS.
Yeah.
Very cool. So this was the other booth I was talking about, where you could spin the heads around and kind of take a close look. And this is the top of your motor. This is where the valves go and stuff like that. So a ton of options, right? And you can see what everyone's got in terms of their catalog. Yeah. So it's really neat. These are the kinds of things that you won't really see at SEMA, right? As much. It's more so just the car, stuff like that. So. So that's it. We leave the show. Yeah. You can see how warm it is. Our buddy's got a milkshake and and his beard's blowing in the wind, but he's warm enough to not have a jacket. So that's
well, actually, the weather did turn dramatically that day.
Actually, in
the morning it was warm, and then we came out of the show wearing our t-shirts and no jackets, and it was pretty cold. So we were rushing to the car.
So we hit the road, and obviously everyone's amped up in the States.
All the yahoos coming out of PRI.
There's if someone's got a 1320 sticker on their quarter, then they're probably good to go. So, but we're not those people.
Well, these guys, they pull up beside a Beamer. They think it's an M5. It's a 528. They want to race. Everyone wants to race me, right? But
no, but we're responsible adults. Yeah. And we sent that gentleman on his way.
No, so we did race, but we went to a go-kart place to race.
Exactly. Right? So and this was neat. So a really cool go-kart place. It's kind of like the one that they have in Niagara, where there's different levels a little bit, not to the same extent.
Yeah, it was a two-level system. Yeah, a two-level one. But they did have a slick track in the middle, like just a little oval, but it was for drifting, and we had a blast.
It was. I snuck myself one out here to take a picture, but like. Literally just an oval, and you're thinking at first, I'm like, this is going to be, I don't know how this is going to go. It's a short track, 10 minutes of just going around an oval, but I could have spent the rest of my life there, honestly.
Yeah, it was like they polished the floor, they put something down to make it really slippery, and you end up practicing the tandems. So you basically we're going like 3-4 tandem into the corner.
It's true.
And we were there for about a good 40 minutes.
We paid for 30 minutes. We got 40 minutes because the guy was nice. And I think part of it was because we're trying to drift and carry tandem and stuff like that. And then occasionally you lose it, you get nudged in the wall, right? Yeah. Then this poor kid who's probably getting minimum wage to come over, pull you out. Well, we were nice. You see, what we did is we would smash into each other so we could get going again.
To set the other person straight, yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he appreciated that, because there was a couple times. There was one where I came around the bend on Brad and the other guy, and I just smashed them both. And everyone kept moving. So that was good. But I like to think too, there's just some old man at the end of the night just got that polisher and just humming along. And
they need to open up one of those in Toronto.
100%. Anywhere. I'm floored as to how much fun that was. So much more fun than a fast kart. I haven't been shifter karts or fast karts like that, but in terms of my go-karts experience, drifting top of the level. So we go into...
It was Lizzie, and what's it called? It was, what's the name of the restaurant? It was an offshoot of St. Elmo's.
Yeah, basically next door kind of thing. But so we go there, and famous for their shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, it's basically a whole bunch of horseradish with a little bit of red flavoring.
Well, yeah, essentially, right? So giant shrimp
It just
slathered in this cocktail sauce, right?
Yeah.
My mouth is actually watering right now.
I had the smallest amount,
Yeah.
and it was like a punch in the face. I couldn't breathe. I was coughing, like my sinuses just turned on like a tap, and everything just came out. And I just had the smallest amount. It was like ridiculous.
He almost died.
It was.
You know,
It wasn't good. Yeah.
it's not your first time eating it either.
No, I know, but I left all the stuff there. I wanted to have the shrimp.
Yeah.
With a little bit of the remnants, but wow.
But yeah, no, it was insanity. But they had their own house bourbon was awesome. The steaks were awesome.
Yeah, everything was good.
Definitely a must.
Yeah.
St. Elmo's or this place.
Yeah.
There was a bread pudding.
They
You can see the butter dripping.
They're about like 100 years old. The steak.
Yeah, Laura had pictures of Indianapolis Motor Speedway and stuff like that all around, and that kind of thing. So that was neat. So that was dinner, and then that was the night. Yeah. Right, we got to get ready to go home now. The next morning though, F1 race. It was literally the final, and you know what? We could almost do an episode on our own of just that. Basically, there's just a ton of debate, and we won't get into that. It was neat to see because it came down to the very last lap. Tell us in the comments if you want to talk about that. Let us know, because I'd actually like to do a sidebar on that. I've had some really interesting conversations. Hamilton didn't win. Sorry to spoil it for you, but he probably should have. Actually, that's not true. He should have won. That's just the result there. So, a great trip back on the road. There's nothing to see. I'm not going to talk about the drive back because other than about 20 deer on either side of the road, it was like driving through Saskatchewan almost.
Yeah, it was
flat.
It's a pretty boring drive.
Yeah, we made it back across the border.
We did see a white Testarossa in Detroit.
Oh yeah,
just randomly,
Yeah, Michigan plates just randomly.
Beginning of December, dead winter, and then we see a white Testarossa like beside us on the.
Which you never see.
On the 75, yeah.
Yeah, so that was interesting. But anyway, that was the highlight. So there you go, PRI. Thanks for listening in. If you have any questions about anything that you saw and you're like, hey, what's that or what's this? Let us know. Let us know in the comments.
Shoot us a message.
Yeah, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.